Well, this restoration is going together really well. It took me a while. I had to hand hammer this so it's as circular, as round as much as I can. And I put just a retaining pin so when it closes around the neck, kind of locks in place like that. So yeah, well, I made that decision to finish that at that point. And then because this is not going to be an exact replica of the helmet I intended it to be, it's going to become a really unique, one-of-a-kind piece. So I'm doing some changes and modifications to it as I restore it. And what the decision for this was is instead of a keyhole pin that turns it and locks it in place, I went with like the hook and eye system here. And so this is I think a better closing system for this. So, and because I keep taking these cheek plates on and off, I'm just temporarily bolting them in place. So I'm able to take it on and off before I completely finish it. Then I'll finish it off with the brass rivets. So for now, I'll show you how this thing works. This one's kind of like right in the middle. So this will close around the neck guard, like this. And in this case, it's going to lock it in place like that. So yeah, it's turning out really good. It's going to be a really, really nice piece. I'm going to put the missing rondelle. There's a rondelle that goes like this in the back of the helmet. So I'm going to cut this out of I think probably 16 gauge or 18 gauge steel. So I'm trying to get old pieces of rusty steel, that way it kind of matches the inside, like the view of this old rusty steel on the inside. So that way it'll kind of look like it was made around the same time. As a matter of fact, I'm going to probably have to do that with that articulated gorget too, that suspended gorget. I might have to rust it down so the metal matches. So yeah, I found an old piece of steel out back in my pile. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to draw this out, cut this out, to clean it all up, and either rivet it or weld it to the center pin here. You can hear this is sort of they're like ear vents. So I've got an old pattern here for a 7-hole ear vent, and I'm just going to mark it on here. And I'll do that on both cheek plates. And I'll drill those holes out while I'm at it. Now I'm trying to line it up with these 2 rivets here. So it'll be like that on the other side. So now for the gorget plates, I've got the back and the front here. I'm going to give them a slight bend over the pipe here to start giving them shape. I have to remember which is the outside. Yeah, like this. Basic start. I'll do the same to the back plate. Like that, or similar to that. And then the second row, start bending these. So it'll go like this. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of stretching at the top here, but yeah, at least we can get them stretched, and then we're going to start working on the wood stump again. Okay, so I'm going to try to make these pieces match up to each other, so that I've got to kind of flare out the edges here, mostly on the sides here. A little bit in the front. So now I'm going to have to flare out the bottom of this one to match. And the top too. To do more. It actually meets up there. Actually, it's working out good. I mean, let's go with this side here. But that flares out enough to match there. So I don't have to do any more on top. But I've got to do more to match these two. So I gotta flare this up more. Kind of noticed it there. So I gotta do the same to this edge here. Yeah, it's starting to conform better now. But it's going to come in more. That is a little different because I've got to flare just mostly the sides rather than the very back. Just the two outsides. Getting there, as you can see, getting closer, but yeah, I'm just gonna have to just keep working it. Hopefully this will line up in the back here. Looks like I'm gonna have to trim stuff off, but that's fine. What I have to make now is the rondelle, which I cut out and ground it, got it ready to go. It's gonna, I drilled a hole here already. It's gonna go right about here. So I'm just gonna, because this is kind of a costume helmet, it isn't really necessarily historical. So I cut a lot of corners with it. So I do welding, tack welding sometimes. So with this one, I'm probably just gonna end up welding this on. Like probably welding it onto that, and then just do a weld onto there. But first I gotta dish it out because this is kind of got a bit of a dish to it, like a bowl. So I'm gonna hammer this out first. think I'll planish it a little bit, but yeah, it should be good enough. And I'm just going to weld that on there and weld it onto the helmet. So either way, I had to grind this down here to make sure this fits in this little hole. So yeah, let's go do that. I'm going to go weld this on. So I want to make sure it's not crooked like it is. So I just tack welded it. And straighten it all out. And then I'm going to do a solid weld. As you can imagine, you know, we live in a world where time is money, so it depends on how much time I spend on a project. That's the value of it. So a lot of times, especially for, you know, theater or you know, movie contracts or something, it's like I just got to find the quickest, easiest, cheapest way to make something. So that's why yeah, I use all my modern tools and techniques as much as I can. So yeah, I'm gonna go clean it off and then come on back in and we'll weld it on here. This rondelle, and what we're gonna do is weld it onto the helmet so you can see the hole here. There, I'm just gonna kind of bevel that. I want it to be like that, but see, I'm just going to tack weld it first and then put it in position, and then I'll really do a really good weld after that. So I'm just going to tack weld it first. Close your eyes. There we go. Just gonna wire brush it, clean it all up, and we're on to the next piece. Getting close to finishing here. The gorget. As you know, we made this the neck part, the upper part here. And I have to custom form all these pieces to go onto it. Got the front. Back. Here's the front part here. So I've been just temporarily bolting them together to make sure everything fits. Not only that, but these are actually construction holes. Even back in the 16th century, they would temporarily build it just like I am, because that's how you have to do things anyway. Just got to build them, make sure everything's fitting right. And then you basically try to utilize those holes for the leather straps underneath when you're finished, which I'll show you how to do that. Now, I really should just dedicate a whole series on how to make these sort of articulated, suspended gorgets, because I'm just sort of going fast forward here because I want to get this helmet and gorget set finished. To fix it, including I had to cut out new parts because it just wasn't working at all. And that's pretty typical because it takes a while to work out patterns, and like a minimum amount of time for me is I have to do at least three versions of it. in order to just keep tweaking them. And like it articulates really well. I mean, it opens really well when you have the leather on it. But right now, I can't really show you how that works until we put the leather in it. But just, I'm making sure that everything fits together here. So, as you can see, it's got it perfectly round and it sort of goes out. This is a 6-piece. I'm used to doing 8-piece, which are more complicated and they kind of go up on an angle more. But yeah, it's going to be good once I get the leather inside there. So yeah, once the gorget is made like this, I want to echo that pattern, do the same sort of scroll work onto the visor. So I took my felt pen here and I drew this out here. So I'm going to be cutting this out and making this match, so that way it'll be more of a set. So I'll be doing that to the visor as well. But yeah, locks in place. Oh yeah, and I did the ear holes as well. So it's coming together. I realized that I made this a long time ago, and the proportions are off. It's just kind of elongated, but it's still going to be a nice looking piece once it's done anyway. So that's kind of where we're at. So what I did was I cut this and filed it down, tried to give it kind of a beveled edge to it. I also cut the visor pivot points, made them a lot nicer than what they were. So I'm going to try mounting this onto, just get a temporary bolt it in place as usual, to the helmet here. And then I'm going to mark, I want to make sure everything fits and functions properly, but then I'm also going to mark a spring pin and a catch on that one side. I'll be doing some really nice decorative nut and bolts for the pivot points for the visor as well, but for now we'll just temporarily put it in place. So as you can see, it's gonna lock down like that. Yeah, this turned out good. And so let's mark where that goes. Yeah, it's gonna be kind of like a locking pin right about there. I'll have it come down that way. Yeah, so I'll make the pin so it'll come out right there and it'll lock down. I think I might even put a visor lift in here too. I'm just making this really a unique piece now. I'm going to show you how I make a push button release pin here. And yeah, there's going to be the spring steel is going to be here riveted on the inside. So it'll be pushed right here. So these are the components that I'm going to be making that I need. These are pre-made. I made a bunch of these years ago. I got a push pin here. As you can see, it's got kind of a step down layer there. And then this has got one step down layer here. This is going to be the actual pin that goes rivets right here. So what I'm going to do is cut this out of spring steel. This is going to be the active spring. Yeah, it's kind of tough cutting this out of spring steel, so sometimes I burn through drill bits as well. But yeah, so this is my basic pattern, so I'm going to drill these holes, and then we'll start setting up for this. I'll show you how I put it together. Got to do more marking here. I got to rivet this pin in here. Yeah, as you can see, and I made these kind of an oval shape because they need wiggle room. This is going to be riveted on the inside like this, and when this gets pushed up, it's a spring. It needs to have some wiggle room for these pins to move, so it can't be too tight. So yeah, I'm going to rivet this on to this strip, the spring strip, and then we'll mark these holes and we'll temporarily put it in place. Alright, so I riveted on this retaining pin here, this little stud that sticks out, and it's going to go like that, as you can see. So I want to make sure it's kind of in line, so I drew kind of a temporary line on the outside there, but it's going to go here, and I'm going to mark the holes right about there. We're going to temporarily bolt it in place. So now that we've drilled the holes out, let's temporarily bolt this in place. And try it out. And if you noticed, the actual push button release thing I saved to last, because you know, when you're drilling holes, they're never exactly perfect or anything, so you can hear it spring back into place here. So what we're going to do is we're going to mark the push button. It's going to push it in. So yeah, like I said, you don't mark that to the very end because it might be off a little bit. It's got to be pretty much dead center. Right there. And this should work. And then again, we're going to temporarily hold it in place until we know we're completely committed. Then we'll use brass rivets. Moving along now. Okay, got everything ready to go, ready to try out. Again, we got to temporarily bolt this in place again. So far so good. And then this goes right inside that hole that I drilled out. So once I rivet it in place, that's it. So yeah, I always get tense at this point here because, you know, like even that, I'm going to probably have to file that side to make sure it functions right. Because once it's riveted in place, you can't get it off very easily, that's for sure. Okay, so let's go rivet these brass things in place here, and then we'll rivet the push button pin. Okay, we're ready to commit. The hole looks good. Riveted in place. So now we're just going to put the push button, rivet that in place. Right about here. That fits in there. Yeah, it's gonna be good. Okay, I'll rivet that and then we'll try it on the helmet. We'll start bolting it onto the helmet. I decided to put a lifting peg in the visor. So this is I just had to custom make it, shorten a longer version. But yeah, we're just gonna put that there so that way it gives us something to grab a hold of when we lift the visor. So we're gonna use the rivet set and an old rusty washer I found. I gotta get more. Right there. There you go. Okay, so I've pretty much finished this restoration. I took out the temporary bolts and I've replaced it with the brass rivets here now. And let's see what else. So we've got that functioning properly. Yeah, everything seems to work fine. Opens up. This is nice and tight. This hook and eye system worked really well. So and I also made sure it fit on here and it's spinning properly. And I've got this gorget finished to the stage here. I put a keyhole retaining lock there. Got the shoulder strap pieces on here. Just wanted to make sure the helmet part is mostly done here. So I made some special, these are brass bolts, and to attach the visor here. So let's try this. Yeah, most things have to be custom made like this. Is try to adapt, with things I can buy, store-bought stuff. But a lot of times it has to be just custom made. So, and then just make sure everything's functioning fine. Then we'll just put this project on the finished list. I've got a lot of pieces to restore, so I have to get around to doing them all. Locks really well there. And yeah, the reason why I put the lifting peg right here is because it makes it easy when you push the button right there. You can lift it up with your finger and then lock it down again. There. Yeah, it's locked in place. So yeah, it turned out really good. We're finished with this project for now and then move on to something else. Alright, this shows you how it works. And we're going to